each other. I think we knocked it out.
Dude, that was killer. That's way better. Ronnie's going to hear that and realize he's the reason no one's listening.
Around the clock, we're gonna rock the rhythm of the street, up and down the block. Around the clock, we're gonna rock the dreams you give, the space to talk. Wanna be somebody, be a contender. Gotta reach for the sky. If you want it, fight for it, or kiss it goodbye. It's make it or break it. Try to survive. Don't ever say never. Keep your dream alive.
This is day 3 of ATG and AT 31 Days of Horror. This is me and my old friend Boz. I'm Tim. Boz, I got a question I want to open up with.
Okay, let's go.
Is this a horror movie? Does this belong on 31 Days of Horror?
It does, but it's a sci-fi movie, though, right?
I mean, definitely. I mean, they're in space. It's aliens.
They are.
There's that much.
Are they trying to? All right, I know this movie came out in '86, which is unbelievable because 3 years earlier, Star Wars came out, the final Star Wars, and the graphics nowhere near each other. So, I mean, the budget, I don't know what the budget on this movie was, but it couldn't have been a lot.
If Ronnie wanted us to talk about facts and figures, he could have been on here himself. You know, I don't look at those types of numbers. All I know is that these were the worst 80s horror movie monsters that I've ever seen. Like at some point, you know, I'm 20 minutes into this movie and I've never seen this movie, but I remember the poster as a kid of the critter coming out of the toilet. Like I remember going in the movie theater or going into like Blockbuster or whatever, and you'd see that. So I knew what this movie was about. But if you're going to spend 30 minutes to wait for your creature reveal, it's got to hit harder than that. It's got to be better than that.
It looked like a basketball dumped in a toilet that had teeth in it. You know?
I know exactly what you mean. Man, speaking of which, so I'm glad you said that. I wanted to bring this up. Me and Boz, you know, we lived in the same neighborhood back in middle school. Do you remember, like I saw this guy yesterday. Do you remember the kid that would always show up to play basketball? And he was the worst, but we weren't jerks about it. We just let him run around. And one day he went for a layup and he was so unathletic, he couldn't stop. And his face slammed into the basketball pole. And it just broke everything in his face. Like he spent like 2 weeks in an Undertaker face mask.
Yeah.
I saw him for the first time in decades and he still looks like a total goober.
Well, I mean, we only hung out with him because we were older than him. He was the younger kid. We felt bad for him, right? I mean, I felt bad for him.
I was always kind of ticked off that he was there, but I'm such a beta male that I would even in my younger beta male like larval stage, I was too afraid to say anything like mean to somebody. So it kept me from being a bully.
Speaking of all those years ago, our neighbor on that street, Miss Francis, I think, or I don't know what her last name was. It was Francis, though.
Red-haired lady.
She looked like one of these critters without any makeup on.
because the hair, like it came all the way back and around.
Yeah.
Dude, if her head could curl up into a ball and move super fast, except up the stairs, because these critters, like if space had stairs, then these guys are no threat. There's no stairs in space. We learned that from this movie. But it would look just like that.
These things look so bad. God, they look bad.
So,
but honestly, the critters were the best part of the movie.
Dude, I'm sorry. Did you not see Johnny Steele?
Well, I mean, dude, you know what's crazy? The alien, I guess they're bounty hunters that were trying to find the critters. That is the worst part of the movie.
Dude.
Before they turned into Johnny Steele. Oh wow.
Oh, so if I'm watching, it takes so long for this movie to get going. We're watching two
Yeah.
movies: Family Farm House, The Critters. I guess we need to explain this. The Critters are this alien species that are just bad dudes, and they've escaped from this prison asteroid. So these bounty hunters have been sent to like track them down, and it's these two ideas between Critters, bounty hunters, and Family on the Farm do not intersect till you've already been sitting there for 30 minutes. Like it is. I mean, for the first half of the movie, my favorite character is Steve, the boyfriend. Like it's that rough.
Yeah.
By the way,
bad.
I want to talk about Steve. What'd you think about Steve?
I mean, he's by far the most famous guy in this movie. He didn't do a lot though. He had hardly any lines.
They set him up to be like this jerk. He's from New York, and he's got the tag that says "I'm great" or whatever the heck his license plate says. And his dad bought him the car, so he's got all these rich kid like motifs and stuff. But he's really like a super nice and polite dude. Like he doesn't even want to make out with the chick. He's like worried about the dad. I felt bad for Steve. I felt bad for Steve.
And Steve got it
gut shot. Got shotted by the Critters.
Who was the first? I'm trying to think. Who was the first death in this movie? Because the first
deputy.
death was
the cow.
Yeah, and it was like 30 minutes into the movie. And this movie's not even that long. This movie's like 80 minutes long.
It felt so freaking long. It felt like when I stopped it and I picked it back up, it felt like the last 30 minutes took forever. And what's crazy is that's the only time in the movie anything happens.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So also one other thing, I wanted to bring up two things. I want to get it out before I forget it. If this movie were made today, what celebrity would be great for the Critters to see on TV? Not the Critters, the bounty hunters to see on TV and transform into?
Oh, that's a great question. Florida Georgia line.
Nice. God,
all
the listeners are going to know who that is. That's going to be great.
Yeah, they definitely will.
I'm going to go with Ron DeSantis.
Okay.
So yeah, Florida Georgia line with Ron DeSantis, and they're tracking down the Critters.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. The graphics when that guy's face melted. I don't even know if you call that thing a face. It was just a green sheet looking thing. When it melted, and then skeleton formed, and then bone or muscle formed, and then the face formed. That had to be like 80% of their budget. Right.
So my first note is Johnny Steele just by itself, and my second note is the transformation looks rough. Like it looks
does. It looks like it hurt like hell.
The guy, like it obviously it takes a lot more to transform into just a freaking heartthrob like Johnny Steele than it does these losers in the small town. Because the second bounty hunter can change like that. Like it takes him a few seconds and he's completely done.
Makes no sense.
You want to turn into Johnny Steele, it's going to take like skeletal reconstruction. Like you don't get those cheekbones just like popping some silly putty up there.
That flowing hair.
Charlie is the town crazy. And I'm fairly certain that the actor's on drugs in real life. He hears voices, but the farmer dad lets him play around with his kid. So
yeah, he is definitely the town weirdo. How many people live in this town?
1,200.
100?
They were all in the bowling alley. Everybody in this town was at the bowling alley.
Or the church at the same time.
Or the church making jokes about Sodom and Gomorrah. Dude, those old women were ready to hear about like gravity. They were pumped up.
No. So look, I know when we were kids, you were not a big horror fan. Was this the first time you saw this movie?
Absolutely. I've never turned. I say this to Ronnie all the time. He brings me on just to get like a non-fan's perspective, and he knows I haven't seen crap. Like I haven't watched any of these. And this actually is kind of in my wheelhouse because the only ones I will watch are things where you can actually, where you can see the bad guys, like Puppet Master or The Howling or Hellraiser, are probably like the three I can go back and watch. So this should have worked. But instead, we get these. I mean, they're not even they're not even sock puppets. You know, like
Yeah.
every single attack scene is, oh, and then the actor has to like hold it and shake. You know, like
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's tough. On a scale of troubled 8th grader to Wolverine, how good of a fighter do you have to be to fight one of these things off? Keep in mind that one was killed by a falling ceiling fan.
That is true. On that scale, I would say a ninth grade gymnast,
9th grade is a 9th grade.
and not a athletic gymnast, a one-legged ninth graded gymnast.
Are
Like
they?
that girl we knew. You remember?
Dude, she might be listening. She's still around.
That would be wild if she was a fan of the show.
I had a crush on her, but
I mean, who didn't?
her husband's listening right now. I'm going to kill him. 50% of my notes are just Johnny Steele. And I'm not even lying. Damn you, Johnny Steele. Main character, Johnny Steele. We need more Johnny Steele. Power of the Night is the #1 song ever because it's playing on every station and on every TV and radio in this movie.
Mhm.
These creatures, they can pilot a spaceship, even though they're not even a foot tall or barely a foot tall.
Yep.
Yet they lack the hand-eye coordination not to just kind of bonk into things, and they apparently are so stupid they'll just tear their teeth into anything and hope that it's food.
Yeah.
Explain that to me, Boz.
I've got no explanation. I don't know what planet these guys came from. I don't know where they were caught, right? Wasn't that a like a transport prison ship?
Yeah,
That's
these
what I
are
imagined.
escaped prisoners. I don't know how they escaped with an explosion since all they do is like chew on things with their teeth, but you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
And there was 8 of them, I think, right? 8.
There
I
were
think at the
8.
very beginning there's 8 of them.
There were
Were
8.
all of them killed in this movie? Did we have a kill count of the critters?
Man, that's a great question. I didn't keep up.
I didn't
And I
either.
kept thinking at the end that we would see one and then it just shows the eggs. You know,
That shows 3 eggs and one of them like moving. Yeah.
quick question. So we've got Chicken Coop Critter, dude, he's got, as far as critters are concerned, talk about hitting the mother load. Like all he has to do is roam around and eat these chickens, which are by far the best food any of the other guys have found.
Yeah.
And so he starts to grow. And this is like they wait till the very end of the movie to even make these guys a threat. And is the kids' room on the 2nd story of the house?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think all the bedrooms are.
So Giant Critter is shown walking past his bedroom, right? Like don't they show him? The giant critter that they end up showing is nowhere near 2 stories tall.
No, you're right. You're right. It's like what, maybe 5 feet tall?
It can fit through a door.
Yeah.
Like it's not so giant it's going to show up on the 2nd story.
So you're saying they didn't kill the giant one?
No, I'm saying this movie blows.
Yeah. Oh, I mean that's not a question.
All right, so I guess we need to back up and cover the main points. We've got, so they crash land on Earth. They've got enough fuel to travel the universe, according to this weird prison warden alien that we see. By the way, he had enough like makeup on him. I was thinking the critters were going to be something a little bit different than they were.
So bad.
I thought they would come up with something. But so the bounty hunters follow, and the whole movie is the critters like chewing stuff up and being vaguely menacing, but not really. And the bounty hunters like doing the Terminator 2 opening scene in all these random places. The reason I thought the bounty hunters were the best is because the critters suck as horror movie bad guys.
Yeah.
They're the comic relief is the only thing that resonates, and it's not even that funny. When they're trying to be scary, it doesn't work because they're not threatening, and no one in the house except the mom seems to be that concerned. This chick just saw her New York boyfriend get get his guts torn out, and she's
Mhm.
totally fine. Like after 15 minutes
Yeah.
later, like she's calm and collected. The dad's not that worried, even though he's got like poison spines in him for these darts
Yeah.
that the critters can throw. The son is, dude, when he goes back upstairs to get the cat, he's cool as the other side of the pillow. Like
Mhm.
there's no sense of danger. But when you get to the bounty hunters, all kinds of cool
Yeah.
stuff happens. What would you tell me so you hated the bounty hunters, tell me your favorite bounty hunter scene.
Probably the one where they're in the bathroom of the house. They hear a critter. They're walking in. Johnny Steele. Toilet starts moving, right? He lifts up the lid. We see the back end of this critter trying to get in the hole of the toilet. Can't do it. So he just toilet's gone. Blast down in it. But blast the thing's rear end off. Toilet goes everywhere. That was my favorite part involving one of the bounty hunters, which isn't saying much. But that was the best. I think that was the best kill of a critter.
Oh, best. Are there cool critter kills? And that's important because usually in these movies, when you're hunting down, like when it's the climax of the movie and it's time to kill all of the aliens or whatever, that's when the cool stuff happens. But these guys are so small. I mean, if a fan can accidentally fall on you and kill you, you are not worth, like, if I can kick you harder than you can bite me, then I feel like I'm coming out on top.
Well, this is kind of like Chucky, right? Chucky was a small little doll, like 2 feet tall. Why can't we not just kick that dude across the room?
Why
Throw
is
him in a
Chucky more
fireplace.
menacing than these critters? Why did Chucky work and this doesn't?
Chucky worked because he's a doll and he's supposed to be cute and safe and playful. These things are horrific looking. They look like the last dump I took. And
I had so much hair. Are you okay?
So there's nothing. I know it still burns. So there's nothing safe and cute about these things, and they just don't show them that much. And you can tell, like I said, the budget had to be low because even when they showed them, it was very quick. They hardly ever showed all of it. When they ran across the floor, they just did that real quick. Another good kill, though, the mom had a shotgun and popped one of them, and just green goo was all up on the wall. I thought that was kind of cool. They left nasty green goo.
I just looked it up. So what do you think the budget was for Critters?
I'm so bad at guessing this stuff. I'm going to say 800,000.
$3 million.
$3 million.
Where did they put $3 million? They didn't put it in the Critters. They probably just made 2 or 3 and reused them for the whole movie.
Was it dude, I don't know.
The holographic special effect. They put it
in the
all
very
into
beginning.
That.
They put it in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
They put it in the first 10
face melting off and forming back.
Face melt, dude. The face melting and forming in Johnny Steele, and getting what I'm just going to pretend forever is actually a guy called Johnny Steele to sing his song is probably like $2 million of it right there. Then they had to pay everybody.
Yeah.
And they did.
Or maybe they made all 3 movies with this one budget. Because there's at least 3. There's more than that, but
how? Who liked this movie?
Like, how much money did it make at the box office? Do we know this? Did it even go to the box office? Did it go straight to Blockbuster? Buck a day?
Box office. It turned a profit. It turned a $2 million profit. It made $13.2 million at the box office. Cost $3 million. It made everybody $10 million. So I guess, why not?
Wow, that is unbelievable.
The something that I thought I just wanted to bring up. So this crazy Charlie guy who's like the town crazy drunk who hears voices through the fillings in his teeth, supposedly. He has one short, tiny sequence of lines, like this dialogue, where he says he could have been a baseball star. Okay. And it's so like such a throwaway line that you don't think about it at all. And then at the end of the movie, He has to
that's
make
right.
he has to make the perfect throw with his Molotov cocktail to
Yep.
throw into the hatch, into the spaceship to set off this kid's firecrackers, because this kid is like Demolition Man. Like the dude
Yeah.
can make stuff that explodes, and he totally makes it in there, and it all comes full circle. It was foreshadowing the whole
And he
time.
saves the day.
He has the most developed story arc of any character in this movie.
It was like the movie. You remember? Did you see The Village
I
with
did.
with Joaquin Phoenix? It was like him. He kept saying "swing away," or no, his wife. Mel Gibson's wife kept saying "swing away" in all his dreams, and at the very end, you find out he had to swing away and hit the water. So in this thing, he's talking about baseball at the very beginning, and at the very end, he does what he's been saying that he could do, and he did it, saved the day. That was the slowest demolition blow up I've ever seen, because I mean the critters were like gone, and it took forever. Could they have eaten one of them, eaten that thing, and just blown himself up and saved the rest of them? Committed, suicide?
The critters, apparently, it was proven in the movie that once something's inside of them, they are super like impervious to, like, they can die. But the dude swallowed an M80 when he was barely a foot tall, and all that happened was some smoke coming. You get that big one, the smallest swallow a stick of dynamite, they're totally safe. The critters did grow on me at the very end. You know, they're trying to escape, because the family's killing them because they can't climb stairs, which is the weirdest recurring thing in a horror movie ever. Like, that's so weird. But so the one that's the only smart one that was eating the chickens and getting the protein, he's big. They drag the chick, the daughter, back to the ship. They save the daughter. They leave the dynamite and stuff. But before the ship blows up, they look at the house and hit that switch and blow up the house and start laughing. Dude,
that was
funny.
funny.
I totally popped for that. I was like, man, if this movie had gone straight comedy, because they've got all these like winky nod things. Like, did you notice the back of the bowling jackets?
No.
It's the Ghostbusters guy.
Okay.
Like he's in like the thing, and it's the Ghostbusters and the E.T. doll.
Oh yeah.
But he's
E.T. was like a year or two before that, I think.
And I'm like, everything is so. It was pretty slapstick. No one's scared. What kind of movie did you think you were making here? It was terrible. It didn't even work.
If you look at IMDb, the first category genre is comedy. That was the first one. It's terrible, man. It's just not. Oh my gosh.
So they made 3 of these. Hold on.
3 of them. I think at least 3.
Oh, Ronnie could edit this if he wants. I got to see the Critters 2 budget.
No,
how much
people want to know this stuff.
Critters 2, $4 million.
How much did it make? Dude, there's 4 of these things. There's 5 of them.
It made $3.8 million.
Oh yeah. They still made 3 more after that.
They lost $200K. Hold on, I'm going to keep going down this rabbit hole.
Critters 3
budget, $2 million.
Dude, is that Leonardo DiCaprio?
Dude, this is crazy. It made $13 million.
Leonardo DiCaprio is in the 3rd Critters.
What?
Oh my gosh. That is unbelievable.
Is he like a starring role?
I mean, it's 91. He had to be like, I don't know, 12.
Leonardo DiCaprio as Josh. So, dude, this is crazy. There is at least a trilogy. There's probably more. I'm sure
there's 5. I just saw it. There's 5 of them.
They made a movie. It made them $10 million. The sequel lost them millions. And then somehow the 3rd one was the most successful movie of them all. How does that happen?
How much did it make?
$13 million. On a budget of like, what I say, $4 million?
Yeah, that's terrible. God,
dude, that's crazy. That's got to be the only time in the history of movies that's ever happened. Where, dude, Critters 4, budget $2 million, made another $13 million.
Budget of $2 million. They gave that 4th movie a $2 million budget.
They have figured out some kind of system where they're like, all right, we're going to spend $2 million, make 10 million. Why would you not make 20 of these? These guys are geniuses.
I guess. I will never. First off, is this movie rewatchable?
Oh no,
Yes, I agree. I
no,
agree.
there's nothing you'd want
I'm
to see.
never watching this movie again.
No.
Spoiler alert, never.
I left out the weird part at the end. The bounty hunter since the kid's obviously the only guy who knows how to fight in this whole family. The bounty hunter gives him this clicker thing, and when he hits it, it rebuilds their exploded house.
Yeah, that's right.
I got nothing to say.
That's the coolest looking thing in the movie too. The little thing he slid out of his belt.
Dude, when the bounty hunters were suiting up, absolutely. They've got like the guns with the lights. When they were suiting up, I was like, "Oh, this is going to get like." I didn't know this was just a movie about these guys chasing them the whole time, but it ended up being something, So, you got anything else you want to say about it?
Well, I think we just got to give a rating now.
Yeah.
I always love doing 1 through 10. 10 being incredible, 1 being just whatever the hell this movie is. So, what is your rating?
It's not the worst horror movie I've had to watch for ATG and AT 31 Days of Horror.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
I gotta give it. It's got the bounty hunters. It's got Johnny Steele. It's got Power of the Night. And the critters did do one thing that I thought was funny. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Okay. I'm going to give it 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Explain yourself.
I had no enjoyment watching this movie. They didn't show the critters enough. They weren't scary. They weren't even funny. So I don't even know what they were going for. The acting was awful. I know you like the bounty hunters. I didn't like the bounty hunters. So really, I had no enjoyment watching this movie. I'm having more fun talking about this awful movie than I did watching that movie.
What keeps it from being 0 stars then? I'm putting you to task here, Boz. Where did the 3 stars come from?
The kid was okay. Steve, he was okay.
God, R.I.P. Steve.
Boy, that is a good question. I just can't give a movie a 0 because if it's a 0, I wouldn't have finished the movie. So if I finish the movie, it's at least a 2. Okay?
I'll give Steve. You can give it 3 stars just for Steve because of that weird, like almost ponytail that he was rocking.
Yes. Bear, I've just given it a 3 because I did think the critter face was freaky, which is good. They just didn't show it enough. And if that face would have been on an actual full-figured monster, that'd have been pretty cool. And maybe they do that in the other movies. I don't know, but this one they did not do it, and it was awful. So 3 is my final score.
I will say this: I do feel like I have to watch 2 and 3 and 4 to see what in the world was happening for them to keep making money. Like if they're worse than 1, then this is basically just some sort of mafia scheme, and they were money laundering through this terrible movie.
That's not a bad scenario. I like that conspiracy theory.
All right.
There's 5 of these things.
It was fun, Boz. I think we did a fantastic job.
I think we did too.
If we ever have to do the rest of the critters for this, it's got to be me and you.
Absolutely. It's as much as I hate that you just said that. I think you're right.
If you're watching critters, we're your guys. So
yep, I agree.
All right. Well, this wraps up day 3 of ATG and AT 31 Days of Horror. You will definitely hear from the 2 of us later. All right. Be good, boss.
Peace.